Good morning and welcome to The Point for Thursday, October 8th, 2020. Thank you to those of you joining us on the GBN Television Facebook page, or I should say GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd. Those of you watching on GBN TV channels 7, 11, and 20, and the folks listening to Classic 105.5, 105.9. This morning, I am being joined by disaster coordinator on the sister Isle of Carriacou, Miss Bernice Date. Let me see if I can get audio. We were trying to sort out our technical issues before we started the program. Good morning, Miss Date. Can you hear me?
Blossom, yes, clearly I can hear you.
Great, and I can hear you, but I can't see you. Turn on your camera.
You cannot see me? Okay.
No, not as yet.
Yes, so can you see me now?
Yes, I can see you now. There we go. All right. Okay, so while you get settled, let me make sure everything is copacetic from my end. All right, so this morning we are speaking with an official on the sister Isle of Carriacou in relation to disaster awareness, disaster preparedness, and coordinating following a disaster. Good morning once again, Ms. Date. So let's get into it. Response on the sister Isle and preparation for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season and, of course, other disasters as well. What can you tell us about preparation on the sister islands?
Okay, first of all, I would like to say a special good morning to you, Ms. Blossom, and good morning to the listening public. I'm very happy that you have invited me to be part of your program this morning. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining.
Yes. So we have started preparation since before the start of the hurricane season, which is June. We would have met with our district during the period of the COVID. We were having online Zoom meetings with members to ensure that persons are aware of what is happening and how we can better prepare them in the event that we would have to activate the EOC or the emergency shelters on the island. So we were in discussion even before the hurricane season. And in preparedness, we try to ensure that we have teams in place in the event that we have to activate the shelters, that persons are aware of their roles and their responsibilities going into the shelters. And especially with the period of the pandemic, we were also looking at working with guidelines operation as it relates to activation of shelters, how we can at least put the protocols in place as it relates to COVID-19.
And putting those protocols in place, what were some of the additional steps that needed to be taken to ensure that everything adhered to the protocols?
Okay, so we had a little trial run during the period of Gonzalo, Tropical Storm Gonzalo, whereby we were able to go into the hurricane shelters on the island. We have identified shelters for Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and we were able to go into the shelters to see how we can better prepare the surrounding or the shelters themselves as it relates to persons coming into the shelters. We looked at the 6 feet social distancing. We were able to create in the classroom, separate rooms in case we have persons coming into the classroom, for example, the family members, how we could put them without getting in contact with other persons. So we had the 6 feet social distancing in the shelters. We would have prepared for that, as well identifying areas in case someone comes coming with signs or symptoms. We have also identified isolation area to put those persons in.
Generally preparing for the hurricane season and other natural disasters, tell me about the resources that you have on the sister island. What are some of the areas you think you're lacking over there in terms of preparing for these disasters?
Okay, well, I must say that this year we have seen some improvement in that we have received some needed items for Carriacou and Petit Martinique from the national office. We were able to receive a list of items that is needed for the shelters as well as for the emergency operating centers on the island. So we were given the items such as the PPEs, the gloves, the mask, in case we have to place people into the shelters. Of course, we had those things prepared, as well as some of the basic items that we need, which means like food, water, and canned goods in case persons have to come into the shelters. So all in all, I think we were very prepared. At least we had teams in place also, and I must commend our volunteers on the island of both Carriacou and Petit-Martinique. We have a very good team. And of course, we have very good communication and cooperation from the minister and the PS in the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique as well.
Over the years, how greatly impacted have these sister isles been when there's a passage of a system, be it we've had a few shakes with earthquakes, a few tropical storms, tropical waves, hurricanes have been passing over the Tri-Island. Speak to us specifically about the sister isles.
We have not been impacted severely. We have seen in some areas, especially in flood-prone area, we have seen some flooding in some areas, and we went out into the various communities. What we are doing at the moment is that we are trying to identify a vulnerability. We are trying to do a vulnerability assessment as it relates to vulnerable communities in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique. So we are actually doing a walkabout within the various communities that includes Petit-Martinique, trying to identify our vulnerable communities as it relates to persons who are vulnerable in terms of housing situation, in terms of the location as it relates to whether they are living in a flood-prone area or whether they are living in a coastal area. And we try to ensure that we prepare and give them the necessary help in the event that they have to move from where they are to get to a shelter. So these are what we are looking at the moment. We have not been severely affected, as I said earlier, but we are ensuring that we are preparing our community in the event that we would be affected. Persons would know exactly what it is that they have to do and where they have to go.
Following the vulnerable assessment, what would you be doing with that data and how would you be able to assist? Getting the data is one thing, but responding is another. What are you hoping would be the rollout plan after you've gathered the information?
Okay, well, we are working along with social development as well. As I said earlier, we are working along with other stakeholders. We are keenly working along with the social development office here on the island and in Petit-Martinique. So we are offering assistance, for example, persons who may need housing assistance while we're going through that assessment. We can refer them to the Ministry of Social Development where they can get some assistance. And also persons who are living in flood-prone area, you know, if they need a little drainage, and the Ministry of Works can come in to ensure that the drains are cleared in the event that we may have a rainy season or we may have flooding in those areas, that persons are better prepared in the event that they may have to move to other locations. So these are what we are doing. The information that we receive, we are not just going to keep it to ourselves, but we are also going to share it with other stakeholders and also including the public sector, which is social development and works department.
Emergency shelters, primary and secondary, how equipped are these shelters, and if you can possibly highlight where those shelters are for the listeners and viewers from the Sister Isles?
Okay, well, we have conducted our shelter assessment this year. Of course, it was a bit later than the usual time. However, we have primary shelters that would be used in the event that persons need shelter. They can go to the following areas. We have the Leicester Roseway School. We have the Haverville Government School. We do have the Dover Government School. We also have Bowles Community Center, which was recently refurbished. And we also have Haverville Government School. So these are the primary shelters that we use. And of course, we also have secondary shelters. And one of the shelters we are also looking at activating in the event that we do have to activate shelters would also include Hillsborough Government School, which was out of the list, but is now back on. And we are looking at that area in terms of spacing in the event that shelters, we have to seek shelters for persons to go into the shelter.
All right, on that note, let's take a break and then we're going to come back and continue the discussion. We're speaking with Disaster Coordinator in Carriacou, Ms. Bernice Date. We'll be right back.
National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, reminds the general public to always be prepared. Make sure you have emergency supplies stocked away just in case. Here is a list to help you and your family. At least 1 gallon of water daily per person for 7 to 10 days. Enough food for at least 3 to 7 days. Non-perishable packaged or canned food and juices. Special items and food for babies and the elderly. Non-electric can opener. Cooking tools and fuel. Paper plates, plastic utensils, paper cups, trash bags and duct tape, useful for cleanup or patching leaks in an emergency, blankets, pillows, first aid kit, medicines, prescription drugs, toiletries, hygiene items, moisture wipes, tarpaulin to cover holes if needed, bleach, water purification tablets, flashlight with extra batteries, battery-operated radio, cash, small bills. Banks and ATMs may not be open or available for extended periods, keys to house and cars, toys, books and games, important document in a waterproof container or watertight resealable plastic bag, up-to-date insurance, medical records, bank account numbers. Keep important phone numbers here. You may know them, but a loved one may not. A pocket knife, nails, a hammer and a rope are important elements. Towels and buckets are useful too if you develop a leak. Vehicle fuel, keep tanks filled.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA.
Breaking barriers. Going beyond the ordinary. Examining the stories beyond what meets the eyes. GBN gets to the meat of the matter. Join us on GBN Television, Classic Radio, gbn.gd, or on Facebook via your smartphones and other devices. We take you beyond the headlines every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. We are GBN, rated number 1.
To see my granddaughter.
Feel good facts. Avoid the most common causes of spreading the flu. Cover your coughs and sneezes with a tissue, dispose of it straight away, and either wash your hands or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
Welcome back to The Point. We're speaking with Disaster Coordinator in Carriacou, Ms. Bernice Date. Ms. Date, the communication between the islands, mainland and the sister islands, how is that part of the process or the system here in dealing with disasters?
Okay, Ms. Blossom, what I can say is that we have seen improved communication in that of or communication between Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, especially with the main office. I must commend Mr. McIntyre and his team for continue to be in communication with us throughout. We have also seen communication here on island in that we presently have someone by the name of Mr. Aaron Wildman, and he is an expert in VH ham radio communication. So presently he has been conducting training here on the island in Carriacou with our communication team. And we have seen a series of training from as July up to last week, Tuesday, we had training with Mr. Aaron Wildman in the area of ham radio operation and communication. So there is some improvement in that area, and we are looking forward to ongoing training with Mr. Wildman here on the island.
And speaking of training, what about training of volunteers, and what has that been like on the sister island, people coming forward to assist coordinators coordinate?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I must say, I started working here in at least 6 years ago, yes, 2014, and based on our activation and the preparedness, we have seen an increase in volunteer assistance on the island. I must commend persons who have come up to ensure that they take care of their community, because it's important that persons work together. So we have seen an improvement as it relates to as it relates to volunteering. Persons would have sign up, fill out the form to ensure they be part of the district community, both here in Carriacou and in Petit-Martinique. So there's some improvement in that area.
How can people volunteer? What do they need to do if I want to sign up and so on?
Okay, so persons who are willing to volunteer to be part of the district team or to be part of the village team, you can call or register at the office. And we normally do house-to-house visit. Most times we do visit on Friday. We go out into the various communities. So persons can call in. Our number is 443-9335, or you can call the ministry on 443-6026 and ask them to transfer you to the NADMA office. We are accepting everyone, so feel free. You can be part of our team. It's very important to give back to your community. Yeah, so of course you can call us 443-9335, that is the office direct number, or you can call us on 443-6026, that's the ministry, and they can transfer you to our office.
Tsunami readiness, with the size of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique and how tiny our sister islands are, the concern about the damage that a tsunami can cause, it plays on our minds sometimes. And I remember sometime, I think it was late last year, I saw a news release about Carriacou and Petit-Martinique being tsunami ready. What were the things that went into ensuring the sister isles are ready for a tsunami if it occurs?
Okay, so the tsunami pilot project started, I think it was late July last year, 2019, and we would have done a series of events leading up to the period where Carriacou and Petit-Martinique become tsunami smart. So we have done the community assessment, and of course with the community assessment we would have looked at areas, especially identify the vulnerable communities in Carriacou that will be affected based on the information that was given, and we were able to put that in place. And then of course we were able to go into the community to explain to the persons what it is that they need to do, what some of the information that they need to have as it relates to tsunami and the importance. And of course we also were able to plot and to create the map for Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, including the vulnerable communities that can be affected. The maps are still here. We continue to distribute the maps to the various community, to persons who are especially living in the coastal areas, and it's something that is ongoing as of today. Today, as I'm speaking to you, we are in the process of erecting a tsunami sign in the area of Carriacou. So it's an ongoing process, and it's important that we are prepared not just only for hurricane, but also other hazards, including earthquake, tsunami, fire, and of course we have COVID-19, which is the new normal. So we are doing as much as we can here in Carriacou, and of course I think the most important thing is to educate and inform the general public on what it is that we are doing on the small islands. Yeah.
At this point in the program, I'll invite our viewers and listeners who may have comments, questions, queries, concerns for Ms. Date in relation to disaster coordination on the sister isles of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique. 435-2041, that's the landline number. That's also the WhatsApp number. Please, only written messages on WhatsApp. And you can also post your comments, questions, queries, concerns on the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel and the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network Facebook page. Let's go to our first caller. Good morning, caller. Okay, we lost that caller. Ms. Date, I understand as well that the office was recently relocated to a new building, a new emergency operations center.
Not as yet.
Not as yet. When? How soon?
Well, the new building is it's under construction, just a couple minutes from where I am at the moment, and hopefully, based on the information that I have received from the main office and from Mr. McIntyre, most likely it will be sometime in the month of late March to April, around that period of time. Yeah.
And how important is that new operation center? What would it mean for the people in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique?
Well, of course, having a new emergency operations center is a central command and control facility responsible for carrying out the principle of emergency management and, of course, preparedness. And from our standpoint here, it is very important for the island of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique in that it will give us it would make us better prepared in terms of our strategies and in ensuring that the continuity of operation of the organization continues. So it is very important for us. As I said earlier, I think the most important thing for us going forward is that of communication. And of course, we intend to get some added equipment which will boost our communication network here on the island.
Let's go to the first caller. Well, second caller technically. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
And good morning to your host. Glad to hear people from Carriacou and Petit-Martinique and Miss Date. I want to congratulate you on the hard work and the commitment and the loyalty over the years. I know in the work of NADMA since Hurricane Ivan, and you all come from a long way, and the volunteers and so on, you're all keeping together. That is great. So I ask you to continue your training and continue working together to make sure we're ready and prepared for any disaster to come. And I ask every one of you to keep safe from COVID-19. Bless you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you very much, caller. I must say, Blossom, sometimes it can be very challenging, but as I said earlier, I think our greatest asset is that of our volunteers. I've been working with the organization for the past 6 years, and we have two very good team of district members working together, both here in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique. And I must commend them because I know in time sometimes persons get, they no longer want to participate. But of course, for the past 6 years, I have been with them. No complaint. We have our little challenges, of course, but we come together to ensure that what we are doing for the small islands are important, and we continue to do that for our community and our island. So thank you, caller.
Back to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Yes, I want to ask a question, one quick question, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. How long does it take for an accident to be reported by the police after the accident has happened?
I'm not understanding the question.
Well, I want to know, I had an accident a year ago, and to this date, I haven't had a police report.
Okay, well, you're kind of asking the wrong forum, but have you contacted the police themselves?
I contacted the police, but I wasn't happy with the report I got. The trouble is that my insurance wanted to speed up the process, and they told me, well, ask the police for their report, and I went there. The police didn't give me a report. A year now.
I can suggest you maybe go back to the police station that you made the report, or maybe headquarters. Thank you, caller. Ms. Dade, prior to the caller, you were speaking about being a part of the disaster coordination. It can be challenging. What would you say is the biggest challenge? One, about your position as coordinator, and two, coordinating or responding to a disaster on this styles.
I think it's what is kind of challenging is that sometimes we may experience difficulties from my point here in terms of transportation. I said transportation because, of course, we have Petit-Martinique as well. So we now have a new community program officer in Petit-Martinique by the name of Miss Francis. I used to be doing both islands, but now we have someone there. So that's a plus for Petit-Martinique. But I think from our office end, I think one of the issues that we have been experiencing is that of transportation. And of course, we have little things in between, but not to say on a very severe level, just things that we can handle. But in terms of strength, we have quite a lot of strength within the organization here in Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, and it's something we are trying to work towards as it relates to our weaknesses. We do identify some of our weaknesses, and we are working towards it. And I think the most important thing for us on both small island, because we are small and unique, is to work along with our community. That's something we have been doing. We try to do a lot of house-to-house communication, but because of the COVID pandemic now, we're trying to ensure that when we do that, we of course practice the 6 feet social distancing. And what is interesting to note, Blossom, is that we have been working every Thursday and Friday, respectively. Petit-Martinique and Carriacou team have been out in the various communities around the island to ensure that we look after a vulnerable person. And I think, what really touched our hearts is when we go out to the community, the people are saying, wow, it's nice that NADMA is thinking about us. It gives us a sense of happiness that, of course, we are doing something right for our community. So that is what we have been doing. And of course, there are weaknesses, and we, of course, will identify our weaknesses and try and make them into strengths.
There's a question on the WhatsApp that is asking, in our state, there are a number of smaller islands inhabited by farming and fishing communities. How does NADMA ensure that these people are kept abreast of what is happening during disaster events that may affect them? Like residents on the other islands outside of Carriacou.
Okay, so what we are doing on our end as it relates for the fishermen, we are right next to the Ministry of Agriculture Department, and of course we give them update from time to time. So when we do get the information from main office, we try to circulate it. We do have a NADMA Carriacou Facebook page. So whenever we get the release from national office, we submit it to as many persons as possible to ensure that persons are aware of what is happening, that they receive the information, and they themselves should be prepared for whatever it is that we can be faced by. So the information is shared, as I said, the agriculture department is right down there. We are in communication with the fisheries department. Carriacou is a very small, unique island, as well as Martinique. And of course, we have what we call the VHF communication radio, whereby mostly all fishermen do have one. So when the information are given out, we of course try to ensure that persons receive the information at a timely manner.
Have we had instances where officials from, whether it's on the Sister Isles or on the mainland, have had to respond to emergency calls on any of these smaller islands, whether it's during or after a disaster or before a disaster?
Not much. I mean, if it's anything, as I said, we work along with everyone. As much as we can put it, not to say major events, but there are small incidents that do occur. And we have a very good relationship. When I say relationship, I talk about everybody across the board. Superintendent Pierre, that's the person in charge of the Northern District. He's there. We just a phone call away. Whenever we need him, we can call him. He's part of our district team. And of course, we try to ensure that we get everyone involved. So whenever we do have information to share, we do give it out. And of course, in terms of fire and other situations, we work along with the fire department as well. So I said we have a very good working relationship with our stakeholders as well as the public sector.
How cooperative have members of the public been, assisting you carry out your duties before, during, and after a natural disaster?
Very cooperative, very cooperative. And I can say this to say because during the period of the pandemic, well, we are still in the pandemic. We normally have what is considered to be the annual primary school quiz. And this year we could not have the NADMA annual primary school quiz because, of course, of COVID-19. So what we have decided from the organization standpoint here on Carriacou is that we want to do something for the students because we know they are home, we want to keep them occupied, and we know definitely we cannot have the physical quiz, but we would want to ensure that we have a quiz for them. So we started to do the radio quiz both with Sister Isles Radio and Vibes Radio. And I must say it was very interactive, very interesting. We would listen in every morning to the students, to the response. And of course, all the gifts were given to us by the stakeholders. Yeah, and also the Minister of Carriacou and Martinique, Mrs. Stewart. So we have a very good relationship with everyone on the island. Carriacou is small, and whenever there is something, everybody come together to ensure that everyone is taken care of. And I must commend them. We have a very good relationship with our stakeholders, and they were able to give us gifts, whereby we were able to give at least 13 students from Carriacou and Martinique gift towards that initiative for the period of the quiz.
There is a question on the WhatsApp that asks, what does NADMA Carriacou need to better its service?
Well, that's a very big question, but I'll try to answer that one. To better our service, we are getting a new building. Yeah, we are getting a new building. And I believe with the new building will come a lot of added supplies that we would need, as well as I think the most important thing that we should have on island, because we are small, is that of communication equipment. In the event that something should happen, we will be able to communicate with the wider world. I think that is one of our greatest challenge. It's something that we are looking forward to when the new building arrives. And I know Mr. McIntyre and his team is working very hard to ensure that Carriacou has the best. And we are looking forward to that. That is one of our challenges, communication equipment.
A comment and question on Facebook. How can you say the people of Carriacou and PG Martinique are fully prepared when the fire truck has been taken away from PG Martinique and sent to Grenada? Also, the only one on the airport was once sent to Grenada. Also, if a major disaster hits PG Martinique with a heavy fire, how will the fire be put out?
Ms. Blossom, we have a department that is responsible for fire. That is Northern District Fire Department, and I'm sure they do have things that they can work on to ensure that they provide the necessary assistance for the people both in Carriacou and PG Martinique. That is not from my end, but from my end, I can tell you that we have a very good relationship with the fire department. So, for example, let's assume that something should happen and persons who are affected, we will provide the necessary support from our end. But believe me that the fire department, they are responsible for ensuring that they do have that fire truck and the necessary equipment needed in that area. Yeah?
All right. I saw a notice from NADMA that we are expecting to be affected by a tropical wave this evening into tomorrow, please the Lord, bringing with it showers. My question is, though, does Carriacou have an issue of flooding?
Yes, we do have an issue of flooding.
And how big is it?
Not on a large level, but of course we know our vulnerable communities, and I can tell you straight up that there are areas in Carriacou. Once the rain comes, based on the amount of water, we know that area would be flooded. And I could highlight to you that would be less Lauriston, that's Lower Lauriston area. That would be Brunswick, that's down by the mangrove. And I would also highlight to you in Haverville area. Those are the areas that are always flooded. Once the rain comes, the area is flooded. So what we have been doing, as I said, we have been out in the communities to ensure that persons are given information as how they could be better prepared as it relates to flooding in their community. And we have given out flyers. We have also worked with them as it relates to the family disaster plan. So if you are living in a flood-prone area, we know definitely once the information is given out, you have to be prepared in the event that you may have to move.
What about landslides and land slippages? Is that also an issue in Carriacou and PG Martinique?
No, not an issue in Carriacou. We had an issue in Martinique there. So not much landslide, not for Carriacou as well as for PG Martinique that has been recorded here at the office that we are aware of.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Morning, my dear lady. And how is everything?
I'm good.
Yeah, Carriacou, I mean, I want the drainage up there be properly cleaned out all the time. The drainage in the Carriacou area, in the town, in any case, you know. And only drain cleaned properly, wasn't much flood in any case, although there is still able to carry the land and the sea almost same height in any case, you know. But only drain properly cleaned out to the sea right out, and the water coming, always go on coming, going and coming in any case, you know. Yeah, a nice little place. I like Carriacou, you know. It's a very nice little place to go down, build yourself for a while and come back again, you know. I like the beaches in Carriacou. The beaches in Carriacou are much solid, and the water up there much salty than Grenada water in any case. And the sun will be pretty nice and thing, you know. Yeah, well, they just got to do what you got to do the right way and just keep yourself together. And it's a nice little place, man.
Okay.
Blessing, you know.
Thank you very much. Any response before I go?
Yes, well, Miss Blossom, what is happening? The government as a Ministry of Public Works, they have teams outside at the moment. They have the environmental teams, and they're cleaning the drains as well as clearing the area in the event of, heavy rains. The water will run smoothly into its outlets. So we have teams outside in place. And what we normally do also from our office is to move around into the community and identify areas where, that are flown to prodding and submit the information to the Ministry of Works. So as I said earlier, we are working together to ensure that we do the best here for Carriacou and PG Martinique.
There's somebody calling the WhatsApp, a 417 number. Could you please stop calling the WhatsApp? Write out your questions, comments, or concerns on the WhatsApp, and I'll ask Ms. Date on your behalf. Please stop calling the WhatsApp. And there is a comment on WhatsApp as well that says, Carriacou always gets the end of the stick, all talk and no action. How do you feel about that?
Well, I would say straight up, That I believe much more can be done, but from the time when I started, 2014 to where I am presently, we have come a long way. And I'm talking about from experience. So we have come a long way. And I must commend Mr. McIntyre, as I said earlier, and his team. I believe we have been receiving what is due to us. We may not get everything that we need, but of course, we have come a long way from 2014 to 2020 as it relates to items, equipment, or whatever it is that is happening in Grenada is also happening in Carriacou. Yeah, so we are not left out, but of course, we have seen some improvement in that area.
Again, the 417 number, call in the WhatsApp. I may have to block you for the time being if you can insist on calling. Please refrain. Please and thanks. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Blossom. Good morning, Miss Bernice.
Morning, Mr. Bede. How are you doing?
Well, listening and learning on the program. And I'm pleased about that, but Miss Bernice, later I'll start with you. I like the way how you talk, concerning about the VHF radio and so on, because you cannot depend only on the cell phone, right? Because, the signal could lose, but the VHF radio, it could only call, let me see, about 20 miles from an area, so you could get in communication with your loved one, if they are away from you, because sometimes in a disaster, telephone pole capsized, and signal go on the cell phone, but the VHF radio, as long as it's charged, is there. And I like what you say again. What I want to say again, I'll make it short because I think Miss General McDonald is waiting to come in the studio. Fishermen must pull up the boat in time. Don't wait when the disaster coming and for there to the running. While they're running, waves could take them and go with them. So, Miss Blossom, you finish it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bido. Miss Date?
That's Mr. Bido there. Regular caller.
Yes. My good buddy.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Someone on WhatsApp is asking, does your office have a satellite phone? I think that is a very important item to have in times of a disaster. Do you have a satellite phone?
Yes, we do have satellite phone on the island here, Carriacou and Petimatic. Of course, we do have sat phones. We have a ham radio operational team for Carriacou, which is Mr. Aaron Wildman and his team. They are working along with the ham radio operators on island. I think we have 3 persons here. So we also work closely with Haberlight Radio. That's Mr. Cornelius. They're very good as it relates to information sharing as well. So as I said, we try to ensure that we are in contact with everyone, especially the stakeholders on the island, and especially persons who are responsible for sharing information out to the general public.
All right, let's take our final break of the program and then come back and wrap up. This is To The Point Classic, GBN Hot 98. We'll be right back.
Life.
Stop the spread of germs that can make you and others sick. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze. If you don't have a tissue, use your elbow. Wash hands often, especially after coughing or sneezing into a tissue.
We believe this new virus spreads mostly from person to person through respiratory droplets produced when someone who is sick coughs or sneezes. This is similar to how flu and other respiratory illnesses spread. These droplets can land in the mouth or nose of people nearby, or possibly be inhaled into the lungs. Most person-to-person spread happens when people are in close contact, It's also possible that this virus can spread when someone touches a contaminated surface and then touches the mouth, nose, or eyes.
Welcome back to the Point, speaking with Disaster Coordinator in Carriacou, Bernice Date. Ms. Date, there is a question on the WhatsApp that I would restructure in a kind of way. The person, let's see how I can put it. The person is asking, why not use a different medium to reach the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique instead of just posting on Facebook? Where we know the seniors will have no access to that platform. And they made a reference to a specific radio station in Carriacou that I would not mention for conflict of interest reasons. But spreading the way that you spread the message is the bottom line.
Well, what I can say, Ms. Blossom, is that I keep saying we have a very good relationship with our stakeholders, especially persons who are sharing information. Actually, last 2 weeks, Mr. McIntyre had an interview with both radio station, that's Sister Isles Radio and Vibes Radio. That was respectively Wednesday and Thursday. So as I said, we continue to share information. We continue to be there in person. I continue to be part of that because I would go to both radio stations. I do not have any issue with any radio station operators. I do go there, and from time to time, we also share clips as it relates to news. Mr. Patterson would come into the office, he will do some interview, and he will share it with Vibes radio station. And it's important that we share information to the general public. Despite Vibes radio, despite Sister Isles Radio, we try to ensure that all outlets get the information. Once we receive the information from national office, that everyone gets the information, not only Facebook. I have a WhatsApp chat group for all my district community staff members, volunteers, that we share information. So once we get that information, we ensure that we share the information on WhatsApp, radio station, also as Facebook. So information is always given out, yeah? We are not holding back anything here.
And with just, we're in the first week of November, so let's say just under 2 months left in the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, what tips or comments, suggestions can you give to listeners, not just on the Sister Isles, but everyone listening as we close off 2020 hurricane season?
Well, I would like to encourage all listeners, both in Carriacou, Grenada, and even internationally, that we should always try to be prepared, not just only for hurricane, but other hazards that we can be affected by. It's very important, even in our household, that persons should try to ensure that they have a family disaster plan in place in the event that persons have to move. Each one in the house should know exactly the telephone number or the area where each persons are going. So it's important to be prepared. Preparedness is key. And we want to continue from the national level. We will continue to ensure that persons are informed on a regular basis and are prepared. The events that they have to go to a shelter, or we have to activate the EOC, that persons are aware of everything that we are doing here on island. Yeah.
A WhatsApp question: does Carriacou have a map of the areas that are liable to flooding?
If we do have a map?
Yes.
We don't have a map, but we have an idea of the areas. What we do, we have an idea of all the areas that actually are flooded most of the time. So we can get a map. It's very easy to create a map right now with the area that we have, because of course the map is there. Carriacou is a small place. We can locate that on the map, so we know exactly where the areas are located. As I said, if we should have a heavy downpour now, I can tell you the areas that would be flooded in Carriacou based on the amount of water.
All right, let me make my last rounds across the platforms to make sure there are no further questions before I close. Phone lines, right. So any final thoughts as we end, Ms. Date?
Well, I just want to say thank you, Ms. Welsh, for having us into your space this morning. We do appreciate the invitation. We look forward to continue cooperation and invitation going forward. And thank you to your listeners for listening in. call us whenever you need us. We are here. And of course, I know Mr. McIntyre and his team are trying the best for Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And of course, I know the team in Petit Martinique are doing the best. We have two wonderful executive group both here in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And I want to continue to commend them and to keep them together to ensure that we provide the best that we can on a local level for Carriacou and Petit Martinique as it relates to national disaster management on the islands.
And thank you very much, Ms. Date. There we go. Somebody was typing, so I was trying to stall until they finished. Somebody's asking as well, do you know or do you have an idea of where members of the elderly and disabled communities are located in Carriacou in the event of an emergency?
Yes, as I said earlier, we are conducting our vulnerability assessment. We are now in the area of Belmont. We have completed lists there. We'll be doing it village by village. Petit Martinique actually today are doing the field work. So we are doing that to ensure that we create a vulnerability list. We already know some persons where they are, and because we've been doing it before, but we want to ensure that we have a list for all areas, including Carriacou and Petit Martinique, that we know where vulnerable persons are located, the age group, what issues they are faced with as it relates to housing, what location they are in as it relates to flood-prone areas. So this is something that we are working on a community level to ensure that it is done before the end of the year. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Date, for speaking with us, shedding some light on the Sister Isles. Always good when we can hear from officials from the Sister Isles. Have yourself a good day today.
Thank you, Ms. Blossom, and you too, and to your listening public, do have yourself a good day as well.
Thank you very much. All right, take care. Disaster Coordinator in Carriacou, Ms. Bernice Date. We thank her very much for being our guest, and thank you, our viewers and listeners, for tuning in and asking your questions. A reminder that our Facebook, the previous Facebook page, we are having some challenges, but we have launched a new Facebook platform. Go onto the platform and search for the page GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network. GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network. Like and share the page and stay up to date with all the happenings here. Catch up on all your favorite programs, and you can also check us out on the Facebook page and the website. Have yourselves a productive, thankful Thursday. Janelle is up next with Mid-Morning Buzz. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, God willing. Stay safe.